How do you like to finish the college basketball season paying under $30 per week? Between now and Selection Sunday on March 12th, there's still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all of the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special that will include the rest of the college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. That's right, from Monday, February 27th through Monday, April 3rd, there are 5 full weeks of hoops action, which breaks down to under $30 per week. Sign up for this promotion now on your favorite handicapper's homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship in Houston on Monday, April 3rd, plus all non-March Madness tourneys, including the NIT and CBI, all for only $149. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experiences in sports. Some call March Madness the most exciting time in sports betting, so act fast as the March Madness Bonanza special is only available for a limited time. Grab your favorite college basketball handicapper, or perhaps add 2 or 3 college hoops experts to make this March Madness not only exciting, but also profitable. No coupon is needed, just head to the homepage of the handicapper of choice and lock the $149 price in now. As the earlier you sign up, the more days you receive.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy Wednesday to you now. And guess what month it is? Yes, it's known as Madness, and that is what is almost upon us here in college hoops here March 1st. Welcome in the college basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. Great slate of games here tonight as we wrap up the regular season in some conferences, while some of the mid-majors are already started in their tournaments. A lot to go over here. We're going to see if we can find out a couple of games that we like a little more than the rest today. And we'll do it with 3 of the best at WagerTalk. Oh, Bryan Powers there. 2 of the best at WagerTalk.com as we welcome it. Oh, there he is, Bryan Power, back in the saddle again. Bryan, I'd like to say I missed you, but I didn't. It's also Steve Merrill with 2 R's, 1 L, and we were trying to rack our brains here. I know it's the first time this season that Teddy covers in the house from WagerTalk.com and or SportsMemo.com, but it's always great to get Teddy on board with us here. And Bryan, all kidding aside, honestly, who's scheduled here? No, I'm only kidding. Talk to me here, man. What's been going on? I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've seen you, man. What do you got going on at Wager Talk?
Joe, as always, thank you for the warm welcome. No one does a better job with the welcome wagon than you. I always feel so, it's great to be back. But went on a little family vacation last week and gotten back here in Ohio, 6-2 overall the last 3 days. Have split the last 2, but we did close February with a 5% winner on Boise State last night. Nice 14-0 run to end the game. That felt good. Have 3 plays available currently at Wager Talk for today. You're going to have to hurry if you want all 3 because the first is in the English Premier League. That will be starting as soon as we're finishing, right on the same time as we're finishing here. If you do miss that, the 2 college basketball plays will still be available. And one of those 2 college basketball plays I will be giving out for free tonight, or this afternoon, pardon me, in our Best Bet segment.
All right, good stuff here. Love it. We got Merrill, 39 games on tap here tonight in college hoops. That, and of course, a handful of games in the association, which means you gotta have something ready to roll over at WagerTalk.com on your page.
Yeah, 39 must be the lucky number, Joe, because I have a fantastic $39 special. In fact, I've got 3 best bets tonight for Wednesday, March the 1st. We're starting off strong here. Number 1 in the NBA this year. I know we're talking college hoops, but number 1 in the NBA in 2023 at WagerTalk.com. I've got the Cavs Celtics ESPN National Best Bet plus 2 strong college basketball bets. A 3-for-1 special for $29, or get 7 days for just $39 with promo code DUNK39 Full details are on my page, along with another one of those free plays. Actually missed our free play last night, but still 19-8, 70% since the end of January. So check out an additional free college basketball play as well on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
I know it wasn't on Oklahoma State, so you can't blame me for that one as well. I'm just saying, you're real good the way you passed the buck on that yesterday, by the way, Merrill. Teddy, what's going on, man? Those of you who have not seen Teddy, make sure you check him out noon Eastern time during the week on Wager Talk today. Him, the Prez, Bryan, Merrill, the gang all runs through there, and he's always got his best bets rolling on that show as well. But what's going on college hoop-wise here? Teddy, what do you got for us here tonight?
Yeah, we've been running pretty good. I got no complaints. We went 2-0 last night in college hoop, 75% all sports this week. And I've got a 3-pack up and available for today. 2 in the NBA, 1 in the college ranks for Wednesday night. You can get that bargain priced over at WagerTalk or sportsmember.com, or take advantage of the BOGO. Buy one, get one.
Yes.
For the odd couple promo, Prez and I fight every day on Wager Talk today, but we get along when we're trying to put promos together. So you're going to buy my 3-day all access, you get Lawrence's for free, or vice versa over at WagerTalk.com.
Those two have been crushing it all season long here, guys. So when you put it all together, there's no reason not to make it an extremely profitable start to the month of March. Why don't we start by heading over to the Big 12 here tonight? Game number 1 will break down 9 o'clock Eastern time tip as TCU taking on Texas here tonight. And Texas coming off a Baylor loss there, but they were on the road. Now they find themselves on the road one more time, taking on TCU, who's won 2 of their last 3, took care of business barely, but took care of it against Texas Tech there over the weekend. TCU, this would be a great win, mostly because it would allow them to be able to get a little reprieve before the Big 12 tournament. So much at stake here. 2.5 is that number, Brian Power. Are you buying the home team here tonight, or is it all road for you?
Well, Joe, as you know, I've had a pretty good deal of success this season taking unranked home favorites against top 25 opponents. But TCU got one over on me Saturday, winning at Texas Tech. As you mentioned, they end up prevailing only by 1. They were up 12 with less than 8 minutes to go, though. So it was a deserved win. You tip your cap to the Horned Frogs. But speaking of blown leads, you talk about Texas losing to Baylor over the weekend. They were up 18-4 in that game. Baylor loses Keontae George, and Texas, not only do they lose the game, they don't cover. So not all blown leads are alike, needless to say. And I know the big trend, I'm sure either Steve or Teddy will hit on this. Texas has not lost back-to-back games this season. They're 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the number. But they're also just 1-4 against the number as a dog after losing to Baylor. So you go back to the first meeting that these teams had. TCU was up 13 at the half in Austin. I know they're not a great three-point shooting team, but they're going to make more than 4 tonight at home. They only made 4 in the first meeting to TCU. I know Lampkin's questionable. Miles is back. He's the engine that makes that offense go, as you know, Joe. 2 of the 3 games since he's returned, TCU's put up 80-plus points. The other one, not so good against Kansas. I had the under in that one, by the way. And you alluded to this, Joe, kind of what's on the line for TCU. Yes, Texas, they are still in play for a Big 12 regular season title. But TCU, if they win, they avoid playing on the first day of the conference tournament. Obviously, the head-to-head tiebreaker with Iowa State is still in play because they were swept by Iowa State. So this is a very important game for TCU. I say lay the short number. Big 12 home favorites, 48-20 straight up this season, 71%. TCU's 12-4 in Fort Worth. Texas has a losing road record. It's a small number. I am with the home team.
With the home team backing a 48-20 Big 12 home favorite situation here, Merrill. Home teams, home favorites in the Big 12 this season have been pretty good straight up, 48-20. Anything change with that trend here tonight?
So I did my college basketball top 25 video for Wednesday. We had 2 head-to-head top 25 matchups, and this, of course, is one of them. And overnight, I mentioned that the line had gone from -2 to 2.5, and now it's -3. So the money has been coming in on TCU. And I want to expand on what Brian mentioned about Mike Miles being back in the lineup. that is TCU's leading scorer, 18 points a game. Nobody else scores more than 13 a game this season. And it has been night and day when Miles has and has not been in the lineup. He got injured 4 minutes into the Mississippi State game back in late January. He did not score in that game. They lost, failed to cover. In fact, counting that game, the 6 games he missed, they went 1-5 straight up in ATS. And let's put this in perspective. Right before he got hurt, they had beaten Oklahoma at home by 27, and they'd gone into Kansas before that as a 7-point dog and won outright by 23. They were playing the best basketball in the country. He goes down. They go 1-5 straight up in ATS. He returns a month later on February 18th, and they win by 25, put up 100 points against your Oklahoma State Cowboys, Joe Ranieri. Their only loss with him back was a tough 5-point loss against Kansas. And then, of course, they beat Texas Tech. So they're really in excellent current form. They also have the revenge motive from losing by 4 in early January. And they have a strong home court where they're 12-4 straight up. And this is their last home game of the regular season. So it's a great setup. The only thing that kept it off my card, though, is what you guys are mentioning. That's Texas coming off that bad loss at Baylor is a concern. But they do have a look ahead. They have their final home game, and it's a big revenge game against Kansas, a team that beat them on February 6th. So I think this is a pretty good setup for TCU, and they're a little bit of an underrated team now that Miles is back in the lineup.
It's intriguing, Teddy. The line movement a little bit towards TCU. I find it fascinating. The total hasn't moved an inch here at 149.5. What do you think here? Road teams have actually done pretty well in this series in the last 5. Are you back in the road team here, or is it a total you might be looking at?
No, I don't have a strong take on the total at all, and I don't want the road team. And I look what Texas has done in these step-up games on the road in recent weeks. I know they were good earlier on in the season. In recent weeks, they lose to Tennessee. They lose at Kansas. They lose at Texas Tech. They lose at Baylor. All single-digit defeats. Well, the Tennessee loss came by 11. But all defeats by 7 or more, not covering the point spread on the highway against quality foes. And that's been a problem for Texas all year long. They have not been a good point spread team. Now, this isn't a series where I'm excited about laying points. I might consider the TCU money line here as opposed to asking them to win by more than 3. And this line is pretty much 3 everywhere as we speak. The value's been taken out of the TCU side. The wise guys have been all over it this morning. But it has been, I'll call it a fairly special season for the Horned Frogs. They've had more than their fair share of solid performances, particularly on this floor, outright upsets on this floor. I wouldn't be surprised if they take care of business tonight against Texas. But again, at -3, you know, the best of the number is gone. And at this time of the year in March, if you're trying to beat college basketball and not getting the worst of the number, good luck to you. Because it's not. There are going to be lots of games that come down to a point or a half point or a 3-pointer or a free throw.
Yep.
And when you're a half point the worst of it, or a point and a half the worst of it, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. So lean TCU, not getting the window.
All right, lean for TCU. Should be a great one here tonight, guys, in the Big 12. But starting a little earlier, we've got one in the Big East that's going to be an awful lot of fun, huh? How about Xavier taking on Providence here? Providence now 3.5-point favorite there, 151.5. And Providence trying to be another one of those teams that doesn't lose a game at home this season. We just watched Duke handle that last night, handling business with a win. Providence, one of a handful of teams that has not lost yet. In fact, 17 straight if you go back to last year on their own home court. How much? It feels like a big number. Feels like a 1-possession game, but the number's got us at 2 possessions here, Bryan Power. Are you buying it?
Yeah, the line basically suggests these two teams are even, right? Well, I don't agree with that, actually. I've got Xavier number 15 in my power ratings, Providence number 36. Ken Palm, it's a little tighter, 18 and 28 respectively. It's not a huge gap, but it is enough where I do like the Musketeers getting points here. And let me do a little counterpoint, Joe. Providence 6-0 straight up and against the number, last 6 head-to-head meetings with Xavier, but who won the last time? Xavier, 85-83. They don't cover as 4-point favorites, obviously. But I think it's worth noting they were up 14 in the first half of that game. They were in control throughout. It does go to overtime. They hold on and get a win. Xavier, now they're a dog, and it's worth noting 4 of those last 5 meetings decided by 3 points or less or in overtime. Going back even further, only 2 of the last 10 meetings between these teams have been decided by more than 6 points, with 3 of those going to overtime. This is just a matchup where I would want to take the points no matter who was the underdog. But in this instance, I've got Xavier rated higher, so I feel a lot more comfortable doing it. And oh, by the way, underdogs covered 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings. You talked about Providence moving to point number 2 here, Joe, being undefeated at home. I believe there's only 4 power conference teams that haven't lost at home. It Duke, you mentioned that. I think it's UCLA and Alabama or the others.
Yep.
Well, Xavier's 6-3-1 against the number on the road. And I don't think Providence, even at home, is shooting as well from 3 as they did in that first meeting, 45%. They shot the lights out again from 3 against Georgetown, who stinks, obviously. I think they were over 50%. So I think 3-point regression's on their way for Providence in this game, and that's going to be problematic because Xavier, what do they do better than just about anybody in the country? Shoot the 3. Number 4 in the country, 3-point percentage, and they actually shoot it better on the road than at home, guys. So that's important. No Fremantle for Xavier. Well, he didn't play the first meeting either. And since beating Providence, you could make the point, well, Xavier's just 3-3 straight up. Those 3 losses, Joe, by a combined 4 points. They go out last time, beat Seton Hall by 22. I think Xavier's the better team, so I would lean to the points in this one.
All right, leaning towards taking them here in this one. Teddy, how much stock do you put in this? Providence don't want to lose at home here. It's that hook is hanging out there, though. Are you leaning one way or the other in that matchup?
It's an impossible game for me. I mean, Providence is a one-way team for me. I'm betting on Providence or I'm not betting the game. And I'll tell you why. All right. When it comes to their advanced metric statistics, not just this year, same story last year for Ed Cooley's team, same story the year before that for Ed. This is not a unique scenario for the 2023 NCAA campaign. For whatever reason, whether it's coaching, whether it's the type of kids that Cooley's been able to recruit, whether it's luck, whatever factor it is, year in, year out, Providence is overachieving their statistical profile. Now, we've seen it again this year. All they're doing is winning games and covering point spreads. The market's not catching up. And when this happens over a multi-year span, all of a sudden now you start getting a little bit of a public team. Providence is a popular team amongst casual bettors at this stage of the campaign. They've won money with Providence this year. They won money with Providence last year. So now we start talking about a team I don't want to step in front of, but they're laying 3.5 in a series that the first meeting went to overtime. The last time they played in overtime, and Bryan was just talking about how competitive this series has been. This ain't a let's lay points type of series. And it does certainly feel like a one-possession game. The first meeting was a one-possession game. The last time they met was a one-possession game. So it's hard for me to get to the window laying 3.5 with Providence. And yet Providence is not a team I'm ever really looking to step in front of unless there's a damn good reason. I don't have one tonight. So I'll pass. Wave the white flag. Sorry, Switzerland time for me.
No, look, I don't blame you because it really is that kind of game, Merrill. It feels like a coin flip, but we are going to Swiss flag your ass anyway, Teddy, as long as you're here. Look, Swiss miss is up there. We're good to go. Listen, can't break from the show. I know it's your first shot here, but you knew it was coming. So let's be realistic here. Providence, some might say here, I don't know. I mean, Bryan does not have these teams rated as in a coin flip situation here, Merrill. Sean Miller done an amazing job. Feels like shades of Arizona all over again here at Xavier. Are you buying Xavier as a road team taking these 3.5 points tonight?
Well, it's definitely not a situation you want to fade. First of all, you mentioned the undefeated home court. I mean, this is a team that's 15-0 at home, and they're playing with revenge from the overtime loss on February 1st on the road by just 2 points, in which they covered. So it's Providence or pass in this one in the situational setup. The only thing that would make it even stronger is if there's been a last home game. They actually have Seton Hall on Saturday, so it's not their last home game. But Xavier's not in good current form. After beating Providence, they routed St. John's in early February, but then they lost back-to-back games on the road. And in fact, they've gone just 2-3 straight up their last 5. They did bounce back with a nice win at Seton Hall, so maybe that was the turnaround sign last week. We'll have to wait and see. No movement on this side whatsoever. Open 3.5. It's still 3.5 across the board. Where we have seen movement, Joe, is on the total, though. 155 all the way down to 151. And if you just glance at the final scores the last 2 times, you're like, wow, these teams are really shooting over the over, But once again, 4 overtime sessions combined the last 2 meetings. They went to overtime on February 1st this year, 85-83. It was 76-76 at the end of regulation. So that was 152. The total was 153.5. So it went from under to over because of overtime. When they played last February, Teddy mentioned that high score in overtime. That was a 3 overtime Providence 99-92 win. Total there was 137. It was at 140 at the end of regulation. So I think that's why we've seen some money coming in the under, as we've had two misleading high-scoring overtime games recently, and this is a rematch, should be a competitive game. So once again, a lot of sharp money on the under in this one, dropping from 155 down to 151 today.
Yeah, and it looked like, I think it was a 3.5-point line on February 1st as well against Providence here. So
Correct.
not much has changed here. Just the atmosphere has changed. And again, no Fremantle here. They are 4-3 without him. He is their best rebounder and, of course, number 2 scorer. So who is going to have that 2 seed behind Marquette? Really what's at play here. We'll see. Should be a great one here tonight. Xavier taking on Providence tonight, guys, at 6:30. We do have one other matchup here tonight, which is intriguing in the Big Ten. And this is going to be 9 o'clock Eastern time start as Northwestern laying 4.5 now. This is up a little bit. Taking on Penn State. 133.5 is what we're looking at right now. We did just see Penn State get their 3-game winning streak snapped at home, no less, to Rutgers of all teams, 59-56. They were a 3.5-point home favorite in that one, and yet Northwestern did not look great either, as they just got steamrolled too. There, I believe it was Maryland. They were a 7-point dog. Wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference there, Teddy. What do we do here? Northwestern, the money is obviously coming in. This was 3.5, now 4.5. Are you buying Northwestern to bounce back as the home team?
So, in a word, no. I'm not. And of course, it is the home finale for the Wildcats. And this has been a very special season for Northwestern. They've overachieved in many different ways, pulled off numerous outright upsets, both here in Evanston and on the highway. Their guard play has been tremendous. And I think it's all a fraud. I'm not buying. I'm just not buying. And we see the last 2 games have come back there. Yes, they covered against Illinois, and they got slapped around last time out. It's not a team that I'm excited about stepping in front of. But in this point spread range, look, there's only one point spread trouble area for Northwestern this year. That's when they've been laying chalk. 4-6 ATS at -3 or higher. They've not been good favorite. They've been good in every other role. Good, very short dog, good favorite, good dog in all kinds of different roles, good on the highway. But laying points hasn't been their role. Now, look, Penn State was good enough to beat this team in the first meeting between these two squads. The Nittany Lions are basically even with Northwestern in my power rating numbers. And I think this is a little bit too high. It's a one-possession type of game. Northwestern's been stealing these one-possession games. Maybe they steal another one here. But if I have to get involved with a side wager, would only be towards Penn State plus the points. I'm not convinced that Northwestern is as good as their record would indicate. What are they, 2 or 3 in the Big Ten? But let's not forget, there's 8 teams in the Big Ten that are within a game of each other as we head towards the backstretch of the campaign. So this much of a difference between 2nd place and 9th place in Big Ten action right now. And Northwestern may not be at the top once conference tournament time rolls around next week.
Got to be a bad taste in their mouth here, Merrill. They missed their final 14 shots and blew a 19-point lead in that game at home, Penn State. It was disgusting. It was tough to watch, I'll tell you that. They also only made 8 of 29 from 3. Penn State has been a team where, live by the 3, die by the 3. Man, they died by the ability not to make any down the stretch in that game against Rutgers here. Can they... And will they get back on track here against Northwestern tonight?
Yeah, it's always tricky handicapping these teams that take a lot of threes, because if they're on, they can beat anybody, and if they're cold, they can lose to anybody. And as you said, they take 28 threes a game. They hit 38.5%, really good numbers. But I think that was a bad sign, blowing the big lead, going ice cold. And I don't see them all of a sudden flipping the switch and fixing things now, having to take to the road to a tough environment. Penn State's just 5-9 away this year versus 12-3 at home. And that makes sense, by the way. Teams that shoot the three usually shoot better at home. And they've been about 3 to 4 percentage points better at home this year from long range than they have been away from home. So I don't think that gets better tonight against a tough environment. Northwestern's always had a strong home-road dichotomy. They're 13-4 straight up at home this year, and it's held form here. They had 3 straight home underdog wins in a row. Then they go on the road last week, and they lose back-to-back road games at Illinois and Maryland. I think this is a good bounce-back spot for Northwestern. It's also their last home game of the season on a strong home court. And Penn State has their last home game on deck this Sunday, and it's a revenge spot against Maryland. And that was also a revenge game against Rutgers, by the way. They'd lost by 20 at Rutgers, so it was a focus spot. They came up short. I don't think they rebound tonight. I like Northwestern in this situation.
You like Northwestern in this spot. Bryan, it has been dominated by Penn State this series. Anyway, I think they've won 5 of the last 7. They've covered 6 of those 7 games here. Penn State has had their number. They've been really good taking trips to Northwestern, 10-4 in their last 14 here. So something's got to give here tonight. The game appears to mean much more to Penn State, who's fighting for their tournament lives. Are you buying them here in this spot?
Well, let's go back to some stuff Teddy said. I just want to piggyback off it. Last week for me was sell high time on Northwestern, even though they were a dog in both games I mentioned at the outset. Had a lot of success fading top 25 teams on the road as underdogs against unranked teams. Well, Northwestern, this is what the market thinks about them. They were number 22 in the country, but they closed plus 7.5 at Illinois and then plus 7 at Maryland. 2 unranked teams. They lost both straight up. The only reason they didn't go 0-2 against the number in those games is because Illinois played a horrendous first half last Thursday. And you talk about bad halves. Northwestern, bad second halves in both games. Outscored 34-20 by Maryland and 47-25 by Illinois. I know they're back in Evanston tonight, as Steve said, but the bottom line is this. I have never considered Northwestern a top 25 team, even after they pulled those 5 straight upsets and 6 straight covers. Should be noted, the luck in close games, Teddy touched on this a little bit. 4 of their 5 upset wins, Northwestern, by 6 points or less. So if the ball bounces a few different ways in those games, we're probably talking about that team a lot differently. And 2 things Northwestern does do well. They get to the free throw line, second highest rate in the Big Ten, and they turn teams over, top 25 in the country at doing that. Well, Penn State, who had won 3 in a row before blowing that 19-point lead against Rutgers, not only top 50 in the country, Joe, at preventing teams from getting to the free throw line, they are number 1 in the country in turnover percentage allowed. So they do not give the ball away. That's going to hurt Northwestern. Northwestern gets a lot of its offense at the rim in the pick and roll. Penn State's pretty good at defending that. Nittany Lions, as we've all mentioned, they've got the edge in 3-point shooting, 38.8% for the year versus 32% for Northwestern. My lean is to taking the points here with Penn State.
All right, and with Penn State taking them points, they need to win. They're in that dreaded first 4 out. You don't want to be in that list, damn it. So we'll see if they can get it done here tonight, taking on Northwestern. Plenty of games, guys. Big matchups across the board. We even have a lot of mid-major tournaments underway. Next rounds taking off. So plenty of different ways to look at this card tonight. We will start going around the horn and seeing if there is a game these guys like a little bit more than the rest here tonight. And we'll start with you, Bryan Power. Kick us off, man. If it ain't Penn State, I don't know. I feel like you're going back and forth here. So give me a team that you like here a little bit more than the rest tonight.
Well, Joe, let's scroll down the board a bit, shall we, until we get to the Big South tournament, where you're going to find number 9 seed Charleston Southern taking on number 8 seed High Point. All games in this tournament, by the way, being played in Charlotte. Full disclosure, I bet Charleston Southern plus 1.5, so I definitely like them plus 2.5, and we're even starting to see some threes out there on the board. So we're going with the dog here. Now, Charleston Southern had both lost and failed to cover 7 in a row before they win their regular season finale pretty convincingly over last place Presbyterian, the old Blue Hose there, 85-59 as a 5.5-point favorite. Charleston Southern wins there, and I realize most people do not want to take teams that are 1-7 straight up and against the number their last 8 games, 9-20 straight up on the year, and just get a couple points. But Joe, as you know, I am not most people. So hear me out here. Charleston Southern shot very well against this High Point team in both regular season meetings. 23 of 49 from 3.
Mm.
47%. You may say, well, what about regression? You're always talking about regression, Bryan. Well, High Point is giving up over 80 points per game on the road, and Charleston Southern dropped 106 on them when they beat them at home, led both times at the half. So even with a little bit of regression, I'm comfortable that Charleston Southern is going to put points on the board here. And while High Point was on a bit of a run before losing its regular season finale at Winthrop, gave 84 points, by the way. Two of their last three wins, High Point, they had to rally from a double-digit halftime lead to win. So if it's and we talk about free throws, if it's close here, Charleston Southern 74% for the free throw line. High Point only 62%. Give me the Buccaneers of Charleston Southern.
Woo!
Tonight.
Southern going Big South here. You really went down. We're still scrolling down the board. Can't find this game. That's how far down it is. Merrill, talk to us here. Best bet for the show. Is there a game you might like a little bit more than the rest here on the card?
Going to look at a free late night college basketball play. The last game on the board at 11 o'clock Eastern Wednesday night, so plenty of time to get in on this free play in just a moment. Three strong best bets for Wednesday night, March 1st. March is here. The madness has begun. I've been red hot this year, number one ranked in the NBA, and I've got a big ESPN national TV winner for Wednesday night. Also, two strong college basketball best bets. Get a 3-for-1 special right now for $29, or get a full 7 days of college or pro hoops for just $39 with promo code DUNK39. Details are on my page, along with a free play between Penn State and Ohio State and Maryland. Ohio State, Maryland free plays have gone 19-8, 70% on my play page over the past month. Going to get to a bonus free play for the show here on the late game at 11 o'clock Eastern in Las Vegas. Teddy Covers will be heading here to the Thomas and Mack Center at 11 Eastern if he doesn't watch it on CBS Sports Network. And that's because I like the over 140. I'm sorry, the under, tricked you, under 148 between UNLV and Utah State. Everyone thinks this will be an over because there's two fast-paced teams. They put up 146 in the first meeting. That stayed under 149.5. This line has now dropped down to 148, and I think it'll be even lower scoring. And one of the reasons is they put up 146 back on January 17th. Despite shooting 51 and 49% combined, the pace was not as fast as expected, and Utah State had 21 turnovers at home. UNLV forces a lot of turnovers this season. That's one of their strengths on defense. I don't think that gets any better for Utah State on the road. Both teams rely heavily on the three. That's always a concern. It can go either way, but they actually hit a combined 40%, made 17 threes on January 17th, and it still totaled just 146. So once again, great shooting. This stayed under the first time. I think it stays under again tonight. The late game on Wednesday, 11 o'clock Eastern, CBS Sports Network, UNLV, Utah State, under 148 gets it done.
All right, under 148 for UNLV. Lord knows they're going to go up 10. They're going to love to run. Run. Can't promise the ball's going to go in, but they're going to run there, Teddy. So tell us, of all these games here tonight, got some mid-major conferences, got all sorts of things happening, Teddy. Is there a game you like a little bit more than the rest here for us?
Yeah, let's go to the SEC for Wednesday night and talk about LSU and Missouri. I'm going to go with the minor conferences, the mid-majors. Let's go to a big one because this one makes a whole lot of sense to me. All right. I like LSU plus the 4 at home against Missouri, and I understand full well that LSU season has been largely a disaster, certainly down the stretch. I also know that they finally snapped their skid in their last home game. All right. So that is a positive sign for LSU. They knocked off Vanderbilt as underdogs in straight-up fashion last time before. But the bigger issue here, and I watched the first meeting between these two teams, and it was played in large part at Missouri's pace. Missouri wants to go fast. LSU wants to go slow. Missouri shot really well in that game. All right. They shot 56% from the floor. They were 13 of 27 from beyond the arc. They even hit free throws. They had 26 assists on 33 made buckets. A really good offensive game. They didn't cover the spread. It was a push. Even with that level of offensive acumen, they weren't able to pull away. Now, LSU is capable of playing defense. All right, this team is limited offensively. Defensively, when they're playing slowdown, that's a nightmare for Missouri. I've seen it a number of times on the road. When Missouri can run up and down, they look really good. Missouri's forcing the half-court sets. They don't look quite so good. Home finale for LSU tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off the upset. +4 is too many. Give me the points with the home Tigers against the road Tigers.
Ooh, like it. All right, guys. And we do have our good friends over at the Gold Sheet, goldsheet.com, in fact, and they are giving us, look at the Northeast Conference. I love it. St. Francis here tonight, taking on Central Connecticut, I believe. And St. Francis has won 7 of its last 9 home games, including an 8-point win over Central Connecticut there. They also, Josh Cohen now, 22 points, 8.1 rebounds per game. He was also, I believe, one of the players of the year in the NEC. And also St. Francis shot better than 40% from three-point range in conference play this year. When you put it all together, St. Francis is the play. It's already being steamed up here. 2.5s this morning. I'm seeing 4.5s now. So that appears to be the way to go here. St. Francis taking on Central Connecticut. You want to go down the board? I'll tell you what. I'll give you a high point. I'll trade you for St. Francis. How's that, Bryan Power? All right, one other game here tonight. I hate these major spreads here, which is usually why I like to fade them. And I think Georgetown is going to stay within 3 touchdowns here. I think it's 18.5 now. No doubt that Creighton will have their eye on bigger and better situations to have to deal with here. They love to go up tempo, and the Blue Jays, well, they're going to be at home. They're going to try to go up tempo, which I think is going to allow Georgetown to get some easy buckets late. Backdoor wide open for Georgetown here tonight, getting the 18.5. And yes, I'll bite. I'll take it, as this in all likelihood will be the last we see of Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. So Georgetown it is. And once again, to recap, Bryan Power, Charleston Southern plus 2.5 against High Point here. Steve Merrill, though, Utah State UNLV, going to be fun, just not going over the 148. Take the under in that one. Teddy's going LSU. He'll take the 4 points in this matchup. I'm going to go Georgetown with the 18.5, and our friends from the Gold Sheet, they're going to go St. Francis, PA. They will lay the 4.5 against Central Connecticut. And as these guys told you, their best bets, guys, ready to roll here right now on their pages, WagerTalk.com. You can head over to Bryan Power's page, grab those hits tonight, as well as Steve Merrill. You can go to Teddy Covers, not only at WagerTalk, but sportsmemo.com as well. Head over to his page, grab those best bets tonight, couple in college, one in the NBA, and there could very well be more to come from there, guys. Opportunities to partner up to start March. The madness is upon us. Head over there, guys. Grab those plays. Look at one of those 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages as well. And this way, you never got to miss a best bet. All right, that'll do it for us tonight as we round down the regular season here for much of the Power 5 conferences this week. More games here tomorrow. We hope you'll come back and join us then. But until we got Bryan Power, Steve Merrill, Teddy Covers, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with all the plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
How'd you like to finish the college basketball season paying under $30 per week? Between now and Selection Sunday on March 12th, there's still tons of regular season college basketball action to go. Plus, all the conference tournaments and WagerTalk and Sports Memo are announcing their March Madness Bonanza special that will include the rest of the college basketball regular season, conference tournaments, NCAA tournament through the national championship, and any plays released in the NIT or CBI tournaments. That's right, from Monday, February 27th through Monday, April 3rd, there are 5 full weeks of hoops action, which breaks down to under $30 per week. Sign up for this promotion now on your favorite handicapper's homepage and get the rest of the college basketball season through the national championship in Houston on Monday, April 3rd, plus all non-March Madness tourneys, including the NIT and CBI, all for only $149. That's under $5 a day for one of the best betting experiences in sports. Some call March Madness the most exciting time in sports betting, so act fast as the March Madness Bonanza Special is only available for a limited time. Grab your favorite college basketball handicapper, or perhaps add 2 or 3 college hoops experts to make this March Madness not only exciting, but also profitable. No coupon is needed. Just head to the homepage of the handicapper of choice and lock the $149 price in now. As the earlier you sign up, the more days you receive.